Hello, everybody. This is the chat about everything. Three blokes talking about whatever's on our mind. We pick a subject, we talk it out. No meaning intended, just for informational purposes and entertainment purposes only. So don't shoot us. And although you can send us your comments in the chat, obviously. And don't forget to subscribe if you like our content. We are one nihilist, one spiritual, one Christian. Three very different blokes. So we kind of, our chats are very interesting and go all over the place. What are we talking about today, John?
Well, today I sent you, um, we're talking about a dinner party, who you would invite to dinner. 12 people, not including yourself. So total, like the Last Supper. So anyone from history, dead or alive, but no family members. So we're going to start by each of us just naming our 12. Um, and I think it's interesting to perhaps if you want, you can sort of write down who you might expect I would choose, or I may choose, somebody. Um, I don't know what you guys, who you guys are going to call, but it's interesting that perhaps you may have a preconceived idea of one of my guests or everybody's guests. So we can start there.
Do
Who
we
wants
have to name all 12 all off the bat, or can we just name one at a
all 12?
time?
All 12.
That's a bit, well, I don't know about that. That's kind of, gets it out there and then like
It's 10
you're
minutes.
done.
You've got 10 minutes. And each of you, reveal your guests. You might like to discuss why. You might elaborate why you chose them. But that's it. That's you've got 10 minutes to do it, really. 10 to 15 minutes to do it. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to do this. 30 seconds later, thanks very much. Take your time and just tell us who it is and why
I
you
see.
chose them.
Good game, good game.
Yeah. So who wants to go first?
Well, I reckon you should choose that, John, because you're being bossy
Oh,
about all the rules.
Tim, you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm expecting you guys, at least one of you, to pick this my first choice for my dinner
Oh,
party.
well, just a minute, Henry.
Oh, hang on a second. You just told me
Yeah,
to go.
yeah. Just have you got any preconceived ideas who you might choose?
Jesus Christ. The big JC is on that list. He has to be.
And for me, I will probably um I suspect one of them's going to be some sort of psychologist of sorts. I don't know whether it would be Young. Let's go Young. Right, Tim, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, you're going to take that time off my 10 minutes, are you?
Yeah, yeah, let's
Or
go.
it might be less than 10 minutes anyway. It's just what, a minute apiece. So yes, Henry, of course the big JC has got to be on the list, and I'm expecting you to pick him as well. It'd be like the spiritual center of the table. Um, his teachings on love and forgiveness and humility and the nature of human spirit would really kind of give us quite a tone of the evening, and I'd really enjoy that. And I did toy with did I want Mary Magdalene there? She hasn't appeared on my list, and actually, I'm quite embarrassed that they're mostly blokes. But she would have been a good choice as well, but for very similar reasons. But yes, Jesus Christ has got to be at my dinner table. I've gone for Socrates. So the master of questioning and assumptions. Socrates would keep the conversation honest by challenging everybody's beliefs and pushing for deeper inquiries and truths, wisdom and virtue. So, and I love some of the things that he had to say. Um, I toyed with him versus Plato, but I've gone for Socrates. Um, Plato kind of was his understudy, really. And all we know about Socrates was written by and kindly produced by Plato, as far as I understand. So I've gone for Socrates himself rather than any understudy. Um, I have gone for Albert Einstein, of course, genius mind that he is, and probably one of the ones from modern times, to bring that scientific insight in and also to challenge science, and the nature of reality and time and the universe. That would be rich stuff. And he's got that philosophical mind, and would, I don't know, happily explore the intersection between science, imagination, and spirituality, because that's what I read into his books and his teachings. A bit like somebody else, which I'll come to in a minute. I went for Leonardo da Vinci. Because when John said, we're going to, invite people to the Last Supper, obviously his painting of the Last Supper and all the hidden symbols and meanings and stuff like that that have been discussed over time popped into my head. And I thought, do you know what? Actually, he was more than a painter. He was the embodiment of curiosity about life. So from that time, what's the Renaissance times, where everybody was kind of like all the people of note were either an artist, a science, an inventor, or an anatomist. He was all of those things. And he, to me, was one of the greatest inventors and innovators and thinkers of all time. So he represents the limitless potential of human creativity and observation, for me. Then I went for William Shakespeare, although I'm quite happy to kick him off the table and put Mary Magdalene in. But I went for Shakespeare because the other day I was working with a young person. We were listening to his choice of rap. It was mainly kind of like Merseyside rappers and people like Mazzo and
Mazza.
Mazza and was he Mazza
Oh, 20.
L20? That's him. Yeah, I love his stuff. And we were talking about it, and and also we were talking about people like what's the other one? More of our generation, John, um, white guy from America, spits rhymes at God knows how many beats per
And a
second.
man.
Anna Man, thank you. I had a brain fart on the name. But I think William Shakespeare, for me, is up there with those people in terms of understanding and interpreting humans and human emotion. So these rappers, for me, kind of interpret human emotions and human, understanding. And Shakespeare was one of the greatest interpreters, I think, of the last 500 years for sure, who understood love, ambition, jealousy, power. So I think he would give good insights into the human condition. Then you'll be glad to know, John, I picked Carl Jung. Of course I did, brother. A pioneer in my book because he was one of the pioneers of the unconscious mind, which we still don't really understand. But he gave us strong teachings on spirituality, archetypes, symbolism. So he would help frame a deeper psychological meaning behind much of the conversation and mix. What he was great at was mixing myth, faith, and creativity and spirituality. And I'm all over those things. I think that's great. Um, so Carl Jung's there. Nikolai Tesla. Do you say Nikola or Nikolai? I don't know, whatever.
Nicholas.
Nicholas Tesla. Tesla's got to be at the table. A visionary, who imagined technologies decades ahead of his time, um, and was a radical innovator, fascinated with energy, frequency, and hidden structures of the universe. So I want to pick his brain because he knew stuff that we really ought to know by now. Um, and yeah, was he bumped off? Let's ask him. Anyway, so Tesla would be in there. I've gone for Nelson Mandela, although again, I'd quite happily give his seat to Mary Magdalene. Um, why haven't I put Mary Magdalene on my list? Anyway, he was a living example of resilience and forgiveness and leadership, um, under, quite difficult situations, and adversity. So, yeah, I love the stories. I love his energy. I love his calm wisdom. But again, I'd quite happily kick me off the table for Mary Magdalene. Um, she definitely needs to be understood in the modern age, and lots of her teachings were buried and left out of the Bible. So, and she was pretty much the big JC's right hand woman, who allegedly he had a massive respect for, and she was known as the Apostle of Apostles. So yeah, I'm going to kick either William Shakespeare and Nelson Mandela. I'll think about which and give her a place at the table. Then there's Mother Teresa, my one and only woman on my list, just because of the huge compassion, and service to humanity that she represents, and her life dedicated to the poorest and most vulnerable, um, and so would bring a lot of humility and love to the conversations. I have invited David Attenborough, um, the voice of the natural world, and brings a perspective of the planet itself, from a point of view of biodiversity, ecological balance, humanity's relationship with nature. He would be fascinating to have. And then, to complete my 12, I have invited Paul McCartney.
Mhm.
I tossed up between him, and George Harrison, and I've gone for Paul McCartney. Basically, because most of the ones on my list are dead, and he's still alive. One of the most influential songwriters of modern culture, um, melody, creativity, optimism. I love ecology as well, balance. Um, yeah, and obviously music's quite important to me, so he's one of the kings. And then I've invited, a bit left field, Chris Martin, from Coldplay, just a modern voice of hope and emotional connection again through music. And his songwriting often is about themes of humanity, redemption, shared experience, love, all those sort of things. So yeah, those are my 12. I've got to decide who I've got to kick off the table to allow Mary Magdalene a place, because even Leonardo's painting didn't show her at the table. Even the writings say that she wasn't there. Where was she then? Was she not allowed to go because she was a woman? I don't think so.
I think where were we on 30? So that was 10 minutes. That was quite good. I think that I contemplated Mary Magdalene because I think from a mother's perspective, I would be interested to know what she thought of Jesus Christ, Jesus, and his brother James.
Well, wait. I'm talking about Mary Magdalene, and
Oh,
I'm
he's
not.
the whore
I'm not.
wife. Yeah, yeah.
His what?
She was a whore, wasn't she?
No, that's what they want you to
Not
think,
true.
John. She was a very powerful, spiritual lady whose teachings are part of the Gnostic texts, which we should be understanding and learning from these days. But no, we just remember her as a whore, and we remember, Mary being the mother of Jesus Christ. I mean, what's the matter with us? We haven't even put many women on our list.
But
Well,
actually, that's interesting. Yeah, because I was thinking of Jesus's wife, mother, actually. Yeah, I think I share actually. But anyway, we'll come to that later. Any thoughts, Henry?
No, it's an interesting list. I feel like it's I've gone for a more selfish list than you have. There's a lot of wisdom in your list for sure.
Go on, let's have yours, Henry.
Okay, so of course, number one, I've got the main man, JC,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Obviously, he had to be in there for obvious reasons. He's
Yeah.
probably the most famous, most influential, most well-known, just everything. The God, I believe God. Not everyone believes that, but if you don't believe that, then you can at least agree that he's the most famous man to ever exist. Secondly, I've got Mr. Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated last year. Someone that I looked up to and admired a lot. And I always saw it as like he was in my generation, if you like, he's only what, 6 years older than me, something like that. He was the one, like he was the guy that was making change, making impact.
Mm.
Obviously very intelligent young man, and yeah, very tragic that he's not with us anymore. So it'd be great to have him there. Thirdly, I've got Jordan Peterson.
Mm.
You both know, yeah, he's a very
Yeah.
intelligent man. I watch his podcast and stuff, and just find him very intriguing the way his mind works. He's just an interesting person, so it'd be good to have there for sure. Number four is Joey Diaz. Do you know who Joey Diaz is?
Yeah.
No, no, I
He
don't actually.
he is hilarious. So he would just have great stories to tell. He would be the life of the table, I'm sure, with his great stories. He'd probably have a spliff rolled up. He'd be there, bringing the vibes up. So Joey Diaz. Number five is Donald Trump. Yeah, because he's seen and done so much, from being the rich guy that was completely disrespected in politics, disregarded. You know,
Mm.
he he was the businessman. He wasn't a politician, and obviously he's been in some rooms, some situations. Obviously a very interesting character, whether you love him or hate him. Number six, I've got Chris Williamson, who's a podcaster.
Chris.
Um, yeah, he started off in like the nightclub scene. He's not too much older than me. I think he's only about 30. So, yeah, he's achieved a lot in his life. Very interesting guy. Obviously, as a podcaster as well, I'm sure a lot of value has gone in his ears, and I'm sure he's got a lot of value as well. Tristan Tate is number seven. Obviously, Andrew Tate's brother.
Mm.
Yeah, again, just an interesting guy. Fellow Christian as well, and yeah, just be cool to have him there. To be honest, I feel like you've got much more deeper reasons than I have. But number eight is Joe Rogan, again podcaster. Had so many crazy conversations. I've seen so many of his podcasts, and yeah, he's spoke with probably most of these people, not Jesus Christ, but most of the others, I would say.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get it.
um, Number nine, is that number nine? Yeah, is Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, I'm a Liverpool fan.
Who?
Jurgen
Jurgen
Klopp.
Klopp.
Yeah,
Sorry?
he is Jurgen Klopp. He's German.
Oh, Jurgen Klopp, the manager.
Yes. So I'm a Liverpool fan.
Liverpool. Ah,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
nice
just
guy.
obviously a complete icon of the game. So yeah, just shake his hand, thank him for his service. You know what I mean? Number 10 is Brian Johnson. This is the guy that is trying to live forever. Well, not. I know
Ah,
he doesn't. He knows he's not going to live forever, of course, but because only one man can do that. But he is trying to live as long as possible.
yeah.
And yeah, I think it's very interesting. I don't know how he frames it, whether he's trying to like prolong life, defeat death, but either way, it's interesting pursuit, and I'd like to engage with him for sure. Number 11 is Kanye West. I absolutely love this man. Many people think he's mental. I absolutely love him. He's just a G. I got nothing else to say. He's just a G. Number 12 is Jim Carrey, just so I could ask him if he's been cloned or not. And that's it, really.
Love it.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my list.
Well, I would have said JC anyway, but being on your list.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a snap there. So that's quite an interesting list, actually. Joe Rogan was a good call. He was quite, yeah, very interesting. We'll come to that. So I'll give you mine. Of course, Jesus Christ is on there.
of course.
Yeah.
Ah.
Have you got any predictions?
Hmm.
I haven't really thought about it, to be honest, but
I don't know you that well, John. You
No,
know what I mean?
no, no, you're absolutely right. And I, I would have struggled to know who your guests are in the time that I've known you, Henry. But JC would have been one. That would have been, you know, that
I
would
I
stand
guess
out.
for you, John, you might go for Hitler or Churchill.
Uh, Interesting. So JC, of
Okay.
course, like I think he's just got to be there, hasn't he? Really, not to invite JC, it would be, he's what it's all about, really. And in fact, Tim and I share a lot of commonality, really. Leonardo da Vinci was another one. He, a sculptor, an inventor. And he was so ahead of his time in his thinking. He was building all sorts of stuff, and he was on part. He and Michelangelo would compete, and I did have Michelangelo, but I kicked him off for Da Vinci. So, but I do like um, exceptional artists. I do think Michelangelo is a better sculptor, but then I haven't seen the Sistine Chapel, so I need to go there and see that, and so that's quite interesting. Albert Einstein, of course, liked him. I had to go down the Einstein route because he was so ahead of his time and he didn't fit in with the normal way, people's normal way of life. He thought for himself and he went out of his way just to please himself. I don't think much of his morals, as I don't think he's a very moralistic sort of person. Um, what he did to his wife was awful. But I think from a brain, I think he's really interesting. Probably no surprise, I would have gone for Nietzsche. He is the man who is the forefront of nihilism. So I think that's quite interesting. I'd sit him next to Jesus Christ and see how they go on.
I've never heard of him.
Have you not?
No.
No, if you want to learn about, I mean, it's sort of a German French thing. Is nihilist. It's quite a modern philosophy.
Okay.
So go down there, Nietzsche. It's kind of interesting. Liked him, Nikola Tesla. I think Tesla, the inventor, next to sitting him next to Einstein. I think that would be what a powerful combination that would be, sitting those two together and listening, prompting them, think about this, think about that, how would we do this? Tesla would be coming up with all sorts of weird and wonderful things, but Einstein would bring him down to ground. I've also got Christopher Hitchens. I don't know whether you're familiar with him, but he was the master debater, in my opinion. He was,
A masturbator.
yeah, even. He was an atheist. But he was so well read. It was incredible. He was in my, he was such I don't know. I can't think. He's quite a conservative person. He spoke of religion and philosophy and all sorts. He could touch on most aspects of life, and he would ground his thoughts on. There was nothing airy-fairy about it. It was substantial. He was really the pragmatist, the best I've ever seen on the stage and debater. Um, Adolf Hitler most definitely was on there. Yeah, I thought you might choose that one. Yeah. Adolf Hitler, my first question to Adolf Hitler would be why? What the fuck was that all about, really? Um, but I, really, yeah, Adolf Hitler. Boadicea was my female, and I do have another one, Queen Elizabeth II.
Mm.
they're the two females that I had, Boadicea and Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth, I thought she represented, she was everything to me, actually. She was like a mother figure. She was strong. She was, um, she'd met them all. She's met all sorts of people. Like you spoke to you, Henry. You chose Rogan because he had he's had conversations with all sorts of people. The Queen, has spoken to all the heads of state over 100 years. I
Yeah,
mean, and she's seen prime ministers come and go. She can talk at length about, Churchill, Margaret Thatcher. She was front and center for 100 years globally. She was a really interesting woman. I think Jack Nicholson was a man I've got on there, number 10. I think Jack Nicholson is such a character. I love him. I think he doesn't give a shit. That's what I like about Jack Nicholson. He would just he tells it as it is, and he couldn't give a flying monkeys about what anybody else thinks. And he's a man that has gone. Had such a rebellious person. Um, and somebody who has achieved so much in his life as well. I'd love to have him there. I'd have him right next to me, actually, because I think if I ever was short for breath, Jack Nicholson could just he would take the floor quite easily. Alfred Hitchcock, I love his movies. Um, I don't think there's a movie that he's made that I've been disappointed by. His use of camera, black and white or color, I thought was fascinating. A great storyteller as well. I think that along with Jack Nicholson, they'd come together quite nicely. And this is a bit left field here. Henry Charret, he is the real person that was depicted in the movie Papillon. I don't know whether you know Papillon.
yeah,
About the escapists who were.
yeah, yeah.
I think he's an interesting character,
Mm.
somebody who is survival. He just did not take anything from anybody. They tried to pin him down and control him, but he was just a formidable figure. And my 12 were really hard because Edmund Hillary and Shackleton would have been on there if I had them as well. But just to choose the 12 was really quite difficult, and I have exchanged a few as well. But I think that what I've got here is a nice balance, um, and I'm quite happy with them. So um,
Fair
they're
enough.
my 12, and so that's my 12. So the second aspect of this is you're going to have to cook him dinner. What you're going to cook?
There's no need.
Yeah, no, there is.
Jesus,
All right, if
I,
you don't want to cook, that's fine. If you don't want to cook for him, that's all right. If that's your answer to it.
well, I probably would, but we've
No,
got
no.
JC
So,
there. We've
yeah.
got JC there, so he's going to whip up some fish and some loaves, no problem, isn't he? And a bit of wine.
Henry, what would you cook?
Um, I'm a bit of a shit cook, but I love steak, so I cook steak quite often. So that would be my go-to. It'd be the only thing I'd be confident enough to do well for them all. So I'd go for that.
What about you, Tim?
Well, I'm just wondering, as Henry said that, I'm thinking that Jesus might have actually been a vegetarian. So don't know. I think what would I go for? If I hadn't have had that thought, I might have been tempted to say the same thing. But I think maybe I'll go for a vegetable curry and rice and naan.
You just said about vegetarian, but then you just said, "Oh, Jesus will get us some fish."
Well, that's different, isn't it? That's pescatarian that don't eat fish, isn't it?
No,
Really?
pescatarians are the ones that only eat fish.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, if you're a vegetarian, you can't kill any animals, surely.
No.
That's the
So,
whole point.
so he wasn't a pescatarian because he was quite happy to bring in the fish for everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure whether he liked meat or not. There's some suggestion that he wasn't. That the original name of being a Nazarene was a kind of like a movement of people who weren't very into kind of taking animals' lives and profiting from them, which is why he was flipping tables down the temple and
Mm.
getting angry. And so I think he might have been a bit of a wokey like that.
So you got vegetable curry then, yeah?
Yeah, I reckon vegetable curry and naans. That's all. A bit of mango chutney. Num num num.
Okay.
What you?
I, I like. I thought about this, and I think there's all sorts that I could cook, but I'm not really big on dinners. I would just do cheese and olives and breads, lots of starters. Just fucking have a big banquet of starters. Just
Nice.
that's it. Because I've come to realize that I'm not really big into like one big dinners. I'm more into like having a mixture of all sorts of stuff, really.
I love that idea, John, because it means that everybody can tuck into what, you've got a plate of meats, you got a plate of cheese, you got some nice olives, some
Yeah,
tomatoes,
I
some
mean,
salad. So everybody's happy, bit of carbs, bit of
there's
whatever.
nothing worse than going to dinner and everyone sit down with you and they're, how's your food? Did you like it? Jay, do you want a bit? It's like, why don't you just fucking everybody get, just a plate for everyone sort of thing, That's why I got a little bit frustrated, especially with my daughter. Um, she was never big enough to finish her own. And so I just thought, well, why don't we just get lots of little plates? And I think she can try that. She can try it. She don't have to eat it. It's what's I could eat it all. So there's no waste, and it brings variety to the table.
Yeah,
So,
I like that idea.
Yeah.
So lots
I'm
of
sure Hitler would
tapas.
appreciate that.
but
Who?
I'm sure Hitler would appreciate that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The third thing is, uh, how would you go dressed to dinner?
Sorry, my head was just stuck on what Henry just said then, and I'm
Well,
quickly
Hitler, yeah, that's
well, it's just what flashed through my head was like, I wonder how many of these people would like a bit of baby and some human blood to drink, because
Oh my.
yeah,
But we're going to mix it
obviously,
all together, but we need to just get these little aspects in then, and we can have a discussion on everybody's people at dinner.
yeah, maybe Queen
What would you
Elizabeth
wear to dinner,
II.
Henry?
I would either go full D'Souza mode, be stonied up, hat on, just as I do, as I would for anyone else, or I would be suited and booted because I would feel it's quite the occasion, meeting Jesus and
So, what would you go
others.
dressed at? No, it's a funny question because I'd be interested to know how you would go, and would you ask for it to be a theme or something like that, or is
No,
it?
I wouldn't. I'm very easy. Like I said, my answer was quite accurate to be honest, because like I don't like the idea of themes. I don't like having to like, oh, take part in this or do that. Like, I just want to pull up in as I am, you know what I mean? I've never liked that. But at the same time, if I was really going to dinner with these 12 people, I'd probably want to dress up and look nice. So I'd probably wear a suit, to be honest.
Would you? Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
My head went in that last conversation. My head just went, it'd be quite cool to have a theme to sort of like see, such as you come dressed as your most admired person for all these people who are the most admired. Like, wouldn't it be fun to see who Mother Teresa comes like as
Yeah.
fun to dress to
Yeah.
kind of depict her most admired person or whatever.
And
Um,
if any of them would dress as each other,
Yes, yeah, that
That's
would be
true.
cool, wouldn't it? But I wouldn't do that.
What would you?
Um,
So how would you come? What would you? How would you answer the question? Yeah. So what is it? What would you?
well, I will if you stop bloody yapping your chops. I would say, come. casual and for comfort. So come as you like, because then that leaves it open for whether you want to turn up in your loincloth, your turban,
Yeah.
your robes, your jeans, your suits, your dinner suits, whatever you want, really. So it kind of leaves it open. And personally, I would wear my best jeans, some my best pants, my most colourful socks, comfy slip-ons, and a shirt and a jacket, and a
Right.
shirt and a jacket. Yeah, and I may even trim my beard a bit.
I contemplated this, and the first thing I thought was everyone comes naked. And I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm not sure that I want to be spend the whole evening having a full on fucking meat and two veg going on. I'm thinking, but the thing is, the reason why I thought of that was because a lot of people hide behind what they wear. They're like, some people come all brightly dressed or they've got Versace on and this, and it's just, there's a psychology behind what people wear. So I wanted to do away with that. I didn't want people to come with their battle armor on. So I thought, no, they all come naked. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. If I not want to have an eyeball, why don't we all wear loincloths? A toga party. And I think probably that's what I would go with. I want a toga party. I want everyone to come in a toga. I don't want anyone coming in their battle dress. So that was where I was coming from.
I'd forgotten you were quite partial to a toga party. I do remember going to one or two back in the late 80s or early 90s for you.
Well, I think it might have been early 80s even, but anyway, yeah.
Enough said about those.
The the next one, I think we're on number four, or five. No, four. Where would you have the dinner?
I'm still distracted by the fact that you've got everybody either.
Henry, where would you have dinner? Where would you have your 12 people come to dinner?
That's tricky. I don't know. I think
What comes to mind? Both.
the first place I thought was my house. That's the first thought I had, but I don't know. This is an interesting question. It's
That's interesting. What's your
yeah.
come to mind for you, Tim?
Hang on, let's because I'm still pondering that one.
Or what comes to mind?
Well, the thing that came to mind was a castle with some roaring fires, a big room, and a circular table, kind of like King Arthur and the Round Table sort of touch,
Yeah.
but not so big that we have to shout at each other across the room.
Okay. So think about it. I mean, you might want to change it. But going back to Henry, are you quite happy with your home?
Yeah, I don't know. I see myself as the host in this situation, so come over, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. What
I
about you?
I thought about it, and my location would be, I think it would be a table on the beach overlooking the ocean at sunrise. I'd like to, because I love sunrise. I want to see the sun come out of the sea. And I think we should all sit at the table and watch the sunrise. So that's me. That's me. So that's where I am on that one. Um,
I've got my location. It's not a castle. It's Lantony Priory, in the Black Mountains of the Brecon Beacons, down the valleys there, on the borders of England and Wales, in the
yeah.
countryside, surrounded by the big mountains. Yeah,
Do you reckon the White House would host us? Donald Trump's in my list, so maybe I could,
No, I
yeah.
think it's important that you've chosen. The fact that you've chosen your own home. There's there's a psychological thing that goes on there as well. So it's interesting that you've chosen. So
Yeah, you'd give Donald Trump the power by giving him the hosting on that one, and obviously you might use it as like the inaugural kind of event for opening of his new ballroom or something like that, and that would never be doing. No, that would never do.
so this is number five. Is what would you want to? This is the way I think we could sort of cross our guest lists. You might be intrigued on mine, and I might be intrigued on yours, and vice versa as well. But I think, what would you discuss? What would there be a theme of conversation that you'd bring to your table? And if there was, what would it be?
Well, I'd instantly be most interested in Jesus, 100%. Like, I'd want to hear first-hand stories, like just his. As a whole. I think I would just gravitate towards him, I think, for
So
sure.
there wouldn't be a central theme. You'd just say, what would
Yeah,
what would be your first question to JC be?
How are you doing?
yeah. Yeah, remember me? Like, I don't know.
So Jay,
This is,
yeah,
it's a,
this is instinctive. JC, you get the opportunity to talk to JC straight away now. What would you say to him?
there's too many questions. I don't know.
Right, give it a minute. Anyway, Tim, going to you, would there be a theme?
Well,
What would you want to discuss with all your guests? Is there anything that
yeah,
you want to bring to the table?
it'd be like, so how's it going? Definitely. What are you all about? What most interests you, and why? What's been your biggest experience in life, and how's that impacted on how you see the world and and your knowledge. I think the most of the inquiry would be about philosophical inquiry, the science and the universe, the meaning of life. So probably at some point, after a little bit of rapport building and getting people warmed up, and as they're sat there in their loincloths or their fancy dress or their casual clothes and sharing, do you want another chipolata? Uh, then then it would be about, so what is the meaning of life? Why do you think we're all here? What's existence? What's consciousness? What is the thing behind life? That's what I'd want to ask them. What do they make of that?
But there must more than one question, I mean, really. So if you
But
had,
that would be the theme, though. You said what would be the main question or theme? It would be like, what is behind life? What is the thing behind life? That's what I would want to know. That would be the philosophical, psychological, consciousness, leadership, nature kind of inquiry.
yeah, interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Henry,
don't know. I feel like it would be a bit of a disservice to put a theme. Like for my list especially, I think they're all so like they're quite random people. I think they're all individually people that intrigue me. And yeah, I think it would just be interesting to look them all in the eyes for one as well. Like, they say that the eyes are the window to the soul and all that, just to look them in the eyes, and just like
wouldn't there be a common question that you would ask them?
a common question. I don't know. I don't think that'd be a common question. I see them all so differently as well. That I don't know. Like I speaking about Jesus initially, but then I'm looking at my list and I'm seeing Jurgen Klopp. I just want to talk to him about Liverpool and winning the Premier League and that experience. But then when it comes to Charlie Kirk, you know, something to like I don't know. It's a weird idea. This group of people in the same room having an open conversation with them. I feel like individually I'd have so much more to say to each of them. But as a theme, I don't know. It feels too broad.
Yeah,
What
you
What about
know,
you, John? What do you think?
This is I don't know. Um, I think I probably I would, if you could have your life again, what would you do different?
Mm, nice.
That would be probably to all of them, yeah. I think that would be an interesting because they'd have to evaluate everything that they've done. Um, so that's where I was struggling a little bit with that, but if I had to answer that like I did, just off the whim, impulse as an impulse, that's what I would ask. Yeah.
I am looking over my list to kind of, and I didn't do this by design, but I can see what's interesting about what I've chosen is that it's quite a balanced table, but there's definitely three major dimensions of human life: understanding reality, ex expressing the human experience and making sense of that,
Yeah.
and living ethically and compassionately. When I look at your lists, you guys, I think for Henry's, what kind of jumps out at me is kind of like the question, what is truth? And for yours, John, it kind of the question jumps out as like, you know, impact. What has impact on life? I don't
Interesting.
know.
So,
Yeah.
just Henry, yours again. I think if you could just quickly give me the 12 off the top of your head now. Don't explain. Just give me the 12 names and let me just have a thought on that one. Give us those 12.
Jesus Christ, Charlie Kirk, Jordan Peterson, Joey Diaz, Donald Trump, Chris Williamson, Tristan Tate, Joe Rogan, Jurgen Klopp, Brian Johnson, Kanye West, Jim Carrey.
Mm. See, that's a very youthful window. That is. That's quite interesting. And
Mm.
a lot of them,
Energetic,
yeah. I mean, it's
intelligent.
the Joe Rogan sort of thing, and Jordan Peterson. These you've got definitely got a deep aspect and of thought going on there. Klopp being sport, Joey, you've got humour in there. It's something
Mm,
that Tim and I we didn't share anything. You got Jim Carrey as well, didn't you?
yeah.
I was like, so that surprised me that both Tim and I didn't have humour in ours.
Well, you talk for yourself, John. Personally, I think I did. William Shakespeare was very funny, did some comedies.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney's a bit of a laugh. Chris Martin's a laugh.
Give me your
Uh,
12 again, Tim.
Albert Einstein's a laugh. Carl Jung even had a bit of a laugh or took things very serious. Jesus Christ, Socrates, Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, William Shakespeare, Carl Jung, Nikola Tesla, Nelson Mandela, although he might have lost his seat to Mary Magdalene, Mother Teresa, David Attenborough, Paul McCartney, Chris Martin.
Paul, Chris who?
Chris Martin. And
Who's
just for
Chris
class,
Martin?
uh,
Coldplay.
lead singer of Coldplay.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah.
Tall geezer, quite good with music.
Yeah.
Quite funny.
I considered music interesting. But I couldn't think of anybody that was deep enough to have a conversation with.
Wow. I
Yeah,
considered Bob Dylan, and
yeah.
but he got chucked off.
Well, yeah, and just thinking about it, when I just said that, I thought, it, what about Jim Morrison, The Doors? I think that perhaps he would have been an interesting person. But then, we've only got 12 spaces,
Yeah.
and that was, I would have,
Lennon.
I often thought, okay, maybe Prince could come along because he could definitely, put some music on, have some music going. I think that'd be fabulous. Um,
Yeah.
humor was, pardon?
John Lennon.
Yeah, I did think about John Lennon. And I did also think about Jane Fonda. But they were all this 70s and they were all sort of like sort of pushing back. and there were sort of, and I'm not. Well, I think it was probably admirable at the time. When I look now, and as I am in 2026, it's. I understand why people do it, but it's not a fascination for me. Not if I was to choose John Lennon over Friedrich Nietzsche, I was think there'd be no comparison really. Do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah. I've got a question on Boudica
yeah,
for
yeah.
you, John, because I considered asking her along to the dinner party as well, but I didn't in the end. What made you choose her?
Mm. What a fascinating character she is. Very well, she's mythical. We so I'd like to have sat down and learn a little bit more of her. When I've looked into Boudicca, um, I wasn't satisfied with what I knew of her, what's known of her. But the fact that she stood up to the Roman army, what a powerful woman. And yeah, it's just her. What she managed to do was extraordinary. It really was. When I think, because I really struggled with women with this. I know that, I've only got two. And even this morning, I had to look at 100 most influential women. I was like, well, who? And none of them were ticking in any boxes for me. Not that I would go down the route, but Boosie, most definitely, I thought that she was what she managed to do. It was Cleopatra was another one, but I thought, well, don't really know much about Cleopatra other than she brought the Roman army to a standstill. But Boudicca I knew more of than Cleopatra, so I chose her. So that was why I thought that what she did was phenomenal, really.
I think my choice was influenced by looking for women, and I nearly considered her, but then I just decided that she might be a bit too murderous to have at
Yeah.
a dinner party.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to note that three, white guys have come up with mostly male names and not many people of color. Although when Jesus turns up, we might be quite surprised when we open the door and go, "Oh my God, you're black."
Mm,
Didn't realize that.
mm.
Or
And
maybe some of the other
well,
characters.
it's interesting because the only people that I know of color really have been in the arts. Morgan Freeman, for example, I think he would be really nice to have along to a dinner. Prince again, Sade again. A lot of the people that in the arts are, for me, would have been black. That I would invite most definitely.
I suppose I'm just pointing to the fact that it might indicate a little bit of our
Biased.
the dominance of our programming and biases. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Why do either of you feel the need to try and get a woman in there? Because you both clearly like weren't that interested in many women. Like,
Well,
I
I was for me personally, I was like, why have I mean I could exchange one for another, but it was always one for another man. I would never have uh, um, Mary Curry as well was an interesting person. There was the lady that invented Wi-Fi as well, which was quite an interesting. I can't forget her name off the top of my head. But they only Margaret Thatcher, Princess Diana. Princess Diana would have been interesting to bring along as well. But there's only 12 seats at the table.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think to answer your question, Henry, I went for what I thought was a complete cross section of human intelligence and experience. But when I looked at it, on the face of it, you could judge it as being predominantly male and Western centric. So I kind of that's why I'm picking it up as a like a I don't feel the need to. I just question that unless we do have more of a representation, then we're getting less of the balance, perhaps. That's why.
fair
Yeah.
enough.
I was a bit hesitant really um, with that with Hitler. because I was thinking that perhaps it would shine a controversial light on me. But
Ooh.
in hindsight, I don't give a fuck. I am fascinated by the man. I don't know. I think aside of Jesus Christ, I would have Jesus Christ here and Hitler fucking right there and say, right, what the fuck's going on, man?
So what do you
Oh,
make of the fact that your list might be a representation of you? For instance, you've just said,
yeah.
John, I don't give a fuck. And that's I definitely see that in you, and I admire that in you to a certain extent. And you said that was what was behind your choice of Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
I'll bring him along because I admire him because he don't give a fuck shit.
yeah. I like the people that fucking don't abide by the norm. I think that they want to, um, they want to fucking dig their own garden. You know what I mean? They don't have, they want to do their own thing. That's what I like about it. Well, Jesus Christ was another one, wasn't he? Albert Einstein is another one. Nicholas Tesla, he was another one.
They're
Uh,
probably all one of them because you don't really get into these positions by just like going along with the grain, do you? Like you're paving the way in some regard to end up being
well,
on this list to like have three people that you've never heard of talking about you on a podcast. Like it's
the Queen was born into it.
yeah, but
So she had no choice.
even
She did what was she
even so, there's a whole load of queens and she's the only one on your list.
Boadicea well, she was the head of the tribe, wasn't she?
Yeah, queen of sorts, wasn't she? Of
Yeah,
the Celtics down there,
yeah. Yeah.
of the pagan tribes. Yeah, obviously this is from a psychological point of view, it's fascinating for me because your choices represent aspects of yourself, So you look at your lists and you go, oh wow, I wonder, I think I might have parts of these personalities, and this kind of like is the way I see myself or my aspirations of how I should be. So um, for you, John, it's kind of like, you bring questions, your nihilism, your innovation, your debating
Or
and
Hitchens. Yeah. Yeah.
asking why, being strong, don't give a shit, love of movies, never pinned down. For you, Henry, it's kind of like it's about, admiration, spliff and vibes, business, Christianity, sport, Liverpool,
Yeah.
living as long as possible,
But deep and
and food,
meaningful. It was the Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, the two real heavy thinkers, No, one academic and one sort of self. I mean, he's an ex-MMA, but then what a deep thinker he is. He's quite an interesting character. Yeah, that's it's quite profound from my point of view. For me, I thought those you've got quite an interesting head, brain on there. And then, you've got the likes of Joe Rogan, you've got all the Tates, these social media influencers as well, which I found interesting. But not when I think about it in hindsight, not unexpected because that's what you're surrounded by today. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
that they are part of your life. So that's of no surprise, really. So that's kind of interesting. Jurgen Klopp, footballer, the manager. What a nice guy.
Mm.
I mean, I'm a Man City fan, and Pep is good, but I love Klopp. I thought the way he managed Liverpool was superb. I loved his attitude and the way he let his players play. I thought it was admirable, really. What a superb, but interesting, very interesting. They're the sort of characters that stand out for me, for you, Henry. Tim, you and I share a lot, of commonality, really. You know, you chose Jung, I chose Nietzsche. You and Einstein. I chose Einstein. Jesus Christ is another one.
Yeah.
We've
Leonardo.
Leonardo. I know. Yeah. So half our guests were probably very similar, and I'm sure that if it was to come to it, we might take one out and share another.
And what's interesting about this exercise, and we can encourage people listening or watching to kind of do it for themselves to see what they see in themselves. What's interesting about this, John, is that the reasons that you chose those particular people, although they might be the same people that I chose, we probably chose them for slightly different reasons, and that's depending on what they represent to us.
Uh,
So it's fascinating. It's really good.
uh, uh.
I'm curious, do you think there's anyone in your guys' lists that would fall out at the dinner party? They wouldn't get along?
No,
No?
I, d- I don't think in my list there is anybody that would be kind of singled out as to, oh, why did they get invited? Um,
Well, I don't know. Christopher.
Leonardo might be annoying, to be honest. He might be the one that gets singled out as like, oh, you're a bit, because he might be a bit like totally ADHD kind of on the spectrum.
Well, I think
Um,
Michelangelo might have been a bit like that as well, actually. But and also there's a language problem, isn't there? Because they're both Italian. That was a consideration for me if they were all to sit down. But
uh,
then Jesus Christ, he spoke Hebrew, didn't he? So.
But he was a Jew and you've got Hitler on your list, so that could be, a bit of friction, maybe.
Well, this is what you know, we'd all break bread together, and it'll be like, well, fucking hell, have a look at this, Jesus. This is the fucking Hitler. Now, Hitler, you tell him why the fuck you did what you did. That would be such an interesting. And then Nicholas tells that, and then you've got Einstein. I think they'd have a fascinating conversation because Nicola would be the he would have so much vivid. He'd have so left-wing ideas, like let's have energy that where everyone can tap into all around the world and everything. And Einstein would be, yeah, but we need to do this, and he's the analytical person, and Tesla, he's the one with ADHD. I think that would be a fascinating conversation as well. And what I like about everybody being in a loincloth is because a fucking Hitler can't come in there with all this fucking paraphernalia and go and fucking check me out. I think that it's nice to cut that all out. But that was me, yeah.
what a hideous thought.
Yeah,
Adolf Hitler sitting there in a loincloth.
yeah, fascinating. But then you got to think about it, fucking the Queenie as well. And but if it gone with my instinctual thing, everyone naked, it'd be like, fucking hell, she really looked like that, or does he look like that? I was like, wow, yeah, what an interesting. But yeah, it breaks down boundaries straight away. You know what I mean? It's so important that it's an aspect of someone's personality is what they wear is it's often overlooked. And
It's an extension of their body language, isn't it? Their clothing and what they put on
no,
themselves.
not yeah, but it's an extension of their character. With people that get dressed up in loud clothes is perhaps when they were children, they were perhaps overlooked, you know. There is a philosophy behind it. And I'd have to share there is a philosophy behind it. I'll share a link with you if you're interested in it. But that was the reason
Let's
behind.
let's not go down that rabbit hole, but I'm glad you gave them some sort of robes to wear at your dinner party, John, because I was worried about where the chipolatas might end up.
Well, I don't do you. I mean, I still think that naked is a good idea. It's just that I don't think that it's not really the one at a dinner table, is it? Man, maybe not.
It might put you off your meat and two veg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I saw a tweet from Tristan Tate yesterday. They bought out these Nike trainers that are supposed to be like the idea is you can wear them with a suit, and he'd reposted it saying if anyone comes to a business meeting wearing these, I'd walk out instantly. So I'm sure if you pulled a chopper out, everyone there naked, I don't think he'd take part, to be honest.
But the thing is, though, Henry, I don't know whether you've ever been into a nudist beach or anything like that. It's it changes your whole demeanor of going out. When you've got no clothes on, it changes the way you are. People put on clothes as body as armor.
Mm,
And when you're naked, then this you can't hide, man. You have to it's reality in its starkest form. Um, and that's what I find compelling about it as well.
So we'll do the next podcast
Well, I've
naked.
not finished. We've not finished. Oh, I see. You want to do it naked, do you? No, I don't think so. Maybe in the summer.
What's the next question, my friend?
Well, the last one is by the end of the evening, what would you hope your guests learnt about you, Henry?
mm. I hope they'd just see that I'm, good-willed, ambitious, hungry to learn. I don't know. I feel like the focus for me would be more about extracting from them rather than leaving a print on them essentially. But um,
But
yeah,
that's the question. The question is, what would you hope your guests learnt about you,
Mm. It's tough. Have you got anything, Tim?
Tim?
Yeah, I have. I was just about to bounce it back at John, but yeah, I can
Well,
talk to that. I would hope that my guests would see that I was compassionate, accepting, kind, open, honest, and that I'm here to leave a dent on the universe before I go.
nice. What about you, John?
Um, um, I, I think what would I hope my guests learn about me? Um, that I have failures. Do have failures. And as we all have failures as well, I wouldn't like to sort of I don't know what I would choose on that one. I'm a bit perplexed as to what I'm not really hungry for validation or on anything like that. I've when I think about how the evening would go, I'd be more intrigued in watching other people how they interacted rather than being sent front and center about anything. I think that that I have a thirst for knowledge, perhaps. And that's not what I want. I wouldn't hope for that, but that's what it is all about. I wouldn't have a hope, really. I suppose um, that the dinner party and my guests were a good choice and an enjoyable evening. That's what I would hope for it, I suppose. I think that would say, listen, let's do it again and get dressed next time. So that, yeah, when I think about it, the thing is, this is I've given myself as much time as you guys on these questions as well. The only sort of when I started this with the 12, um, I thought, well, wait a minute. I'm sitting there, I'm pondering this question. So I need to tell them because it's unfair for me to have time to think about this and the others not. So that's why I said to you, you need to go and think about the 12 people you invite to dinner. So that was quite, but the other aspects of it, um, I had a slight advantage because with the dress code. And I'm still undecided whether loincloth is going to be good or whether we're all come naked. The jury's out on that one. I think just, I still like the idea of just being naked, honestly. But anyway, then that's it. So, but what would I hope my guests learn about me? I'm a good host. That's it, really.
Fair
It's
enough.
a good party and let's do it again.
Yeah.
How about you, Henry?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. My limiting belief, as soon as I looked at the list, I thought, what the fuck can any of these guys learn from me? But I guess we've all got something to learn from each other. But I don't know. I don't think I'd hope they learn anything from me, to be honest. I'm not really wired that way. I don't know. I'd like to have a nice evening and learn from them more than anything. I don't really have the desire for them to learn anything from me, and it wouldn't be framed that way in my mind either, you
Hmm.
know, where I'd be trying to teach anyone. I think, when people learn from each other, I don't know, it's like we've all got a small piece of the puzzle, right? So we all unlock things for each other without knowing. And I'm sure maybe they might learn something from me, even though when I look at the list, I see lots of wise, intelligent people that have been and done lots of things. But, like I said, we all got a piece of the puzzle, so who knows? Who
Yeah.
But
knows?
you wouldn't have anything from your own perspective that you would hope you'd want them to learn from you to take away. And you certainly,
Wasn't the question, what would you hope your guest would learn about you rather than
yes,
what they
about
would
you.
learn
Yeah,
from you?
yeah, about
Sure.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Slightly different, isn't it?
It
No,
is, yeah.
it's a big difference.
Yeah, I don't know if I desire for them to learn anything about me, to be honest. So
It could be humor, wisdom, personal philosophy, or something surprising. That's these are the
I
sort
don't know. I see myself as a curious person, and I would be wanting to learn from them. So just maybe that I'm a good listener, willing to learn. I'll say that because that's true.
Yeah, that's cool. I think
of.
H stands for humility. I don't see that you've got a good, healthy, strong ego, but not one that is egotistical. You know what I mean? So, like, of course, that's not in your frame to want to do that with people. But I would hope that you learn whether Jim Carrey was cloned or not.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely have to ask him. That would be on the cards for the evening for sure. Well, that was the main reason I chose him. It was the last man on my list, and yeah. Yeah, have you heard about this, John? Do you know what we're talking about when we say that?
Pardon?
Do you know what we're talking about? This idea of Jim Carrey that he's been cloned
I
recently?
don't, I don't know anything about that. I know
No.
Jim Carrey. I find him a really he's a bit like Keanu Reeves. He's become a bit of a recluse, hasn't he? But um, I
So
don't.
there's a theory that goes along with the rich and famous, especially in the celebrity world, that is kind of attached to the theory of the whole world being kind of controlled by satanic baby eating, blood drinking, Satan worshipping kind of power structures.
Yeah,
That if these celebrities aren't playing the game and playing for the team, that they may get swapped out and changed. And
it's
there's a
too fanciful for me. I didn't. I've never. If I started on a paragraph that I'd probably drop it straight away and move on to the next. The idea of no, that's no. That no, it's never something that I would. It's not deep and meaningful enough for me. That it's
What
too
that's not deep
fanciful.
and meaningful. My God. Like, yeah.
Oh, it's
Just
too
brush it
fanciful.
over and let's move on. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
really
it's too
matter.
fanciful. And it's like, nah, what are you talking about? Move on. Let's talk about, let's have a laugh. If you want to talk about, well, it's funny actually because I was someone could sort. I was intrigued in content, and it was like how I think it was one of was it Jordan Peterson who had yeah, he started by talking about this guy who has very intelligent guy, and he was talking about not of earthly, it's not from the earth was what was, and I was like, what the fuck is this all about? Jordan Peter talking about UFOs, really? Let's go there. Anyway, his guest is probably one of the most cited PhDs on the planet Earth, so he's got a brain and I don't know. We were talking about they were talking about aliens and stuff like that. And I've had it up to here with that sort of stuff, really. I don't, it's perhaps another subject for another day. It's
It is definitely 100% another subject for another
yeah,
day. We
I
haven't got
just
time to
thought
dig into that.
I
yeah.
just thought what the answer to is what they would like, what I would like them to learn about me.
Hmm.
And the answer is, a lot of people they're painted. Well, the media tells us what we should think of these people. Whether it's Jesus or Donald Trump or Kanye West or even Jim Carrey. He's been labeled as like crazy and lunatic recently, and Kanye's always labeled as that. And I think, that what I would like them to learn about me is that I don't accept the narrative and that I judge them from what from my own experience, not from what I'm told about them.
Kanye West was an interesting one
Mm,
because he does come across as a bit of a disruptor, if you like. That's perhaps he like.
absolutely.
Yeah, he's a disruptor, and he does come across as a bit fucking challenged. His idea of the, yeah, it's I like how but he can be, he's quite controversial. He talks about the music industry run by the Jews and stuff like this, and it's like, wow, man, we're really going
Yeah.
down that route and stuff like that. It's like there are some subjects you can talk amongst your friends, and then there's others that are public, and that's the sort of thing that you talk amongst your friends, really, because
Isn't that bollocks though? Like,
Yes, it is, Henry, because we've been talking about, free speech on a separate podcast. And yeah, of course, there are subjects where you'd be wary of putting them out onto the public eye, but why actually? They're just opinions, they're just words, just as any others.
but I think for me, if I was, that was why I was a bit hesitant about Adolf Hitler because you know. Of all the people in the world, why would you invite, such a heinous person?
mm,
Is that a reflection on me?
no, no.
And it's
Yes, probably.
No, do you know, at the beginning when we were asked to guess the others, the only two that I could come up with for you two was Jesus Christ and Hitler, just because they were the first two that came to my mind.
really,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And not because I think you're heinous and evil, John, but because he's obviously an interesting person. Like whether you think he's evil or not, which I think most people, probably think he's evil.
yeah.
Either way, it doesn't make it not interesting. Jeffrey Dahmer's probably interesting. He's still fucked. Like it's.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, when I was thinking of Hitler, I was thinking, okay, what about serial killer? Well, what is the most prolific serial killer? I mean, what? And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm going down the road.
Genghis Khan.
Well, yeah, no, but I don't know. There's been some. No, he was war. He was more.
Yeah, not quite a serial killer. He killed a lot of people, but
Yeah, not
No,
quite.
I I thought about bringing giving Genghis Khan an invite to my table, but then thought, yeah, it's probably a bit violent. And for the same reason, I probably wouldn't invite any serial killers just for having a bad evening.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
but
in case shit went tits.
this is why I had to stick with Adolf Hitler because you know, perhaps he was it would have been the most unpopular person at the table. But have you not got any questions for such a person? I have definitely have. I'm like, fucking hell, really? Why? You know, he was probably along Jesus Christ. He's probably a person that I have a lot of questions for. I
Mm.
mean, all of them. And the thing that Tesla and Einstein, I think that would be a great mix, and they could come up with some fabulous ideas. And Leonardo da Vinci could probably fucking make it work, you know? Um, and so from that perspective, it's all round. You know, they all complement each other. But I think if Christopher Hitchens and Adolf Hitler and Jesus Christ were to get and sit at a table, I'd like to know what, and Nietzsche as well. I think that would be such a profound conversation. Um, you'd need a 4 hour podcast. You'd need a day for it. You know, I don't think you could justify it in 2 or 3 hours. You know, fascinating, fascinating. But there is the theory behind this question comes there's I mean I don't know where was it now.
I love the psychological inquiry about
Yeah,
this.
there is actually
Yeah.
AI prompted me to say, well, Liz, you could make it unbreakable by having the last question, number seven. And I've not given it any thought, but I'm going to throw it at the table. If the
Go.
evening didn't go to plan, what would you do?
If the evening didn't go to plan.
Yeah.
There is no plan on my evening. It's kind of
Okay.
like I've invited these people along
But no,
to see what happens.
from on your table, you think it was quite harmonious. They would get on it. Everything. If they didn't, if there was a big rock and it didn't, and it all went Pete Tong, what would you do?
Well, I'd just be observing what was occurring, and
You wouldn't do anything.
no, it depends what happens. I mean, I can't imagine my crowd coming to blows, um, but
But imagine they did.
say somebody that we don't know a huge amount about might have got a bit leery. Maybe William Shakespeare or Nikola Tesla or Socrates kicks off.
Yeah.
Um, and starts ranting in, especially
Well,
Socrates,
yeah,
ancient Greek, where
you sat down to
nobody
have your dinner.
understands.
And all of a sudden there's a flaming through fight and everyone got Larry and there was a big punch up. What would you do?
Well, I guess it would just be an interesting experience, wouldn't it, as to what
You just
happens?
let it flow.
Yeah, I believe so. Unless somebody was trying to kill each other or something like that. Yeah, why not? Because like what you've brought people together and then something happens. And I suddenly thought when you said, oh, it'd be too short a time to have all these questions answered in 2 or 3 hours. And the average dinner party could be about that, couldn't it? Or maybe, 4 hours most. So like anything could occur, but it's mostly that conversation will kind of like peak and dry up maybe rather than like friction. So I wouldn't I wouldn't have a plan and I wouldn't do anything about something that occurred because it would just be like, my God, this is a unique experience to really take in. Unless I had to intervene and be referee or stop Socrates killing Tesla or something,
How about you, Henry?
I don't think you can plan such a thing like this. Like when you asked that question, I thought, what does that even mean? Like if it didn't
Mm.
go to plan, I'm like, that doesn't really make sense to me.
Well, you
But
planned a dinner party and you invited guests and it all fucking went wrong. You
yeah, but this is life. there is no plan. This is just like not to us there isn't anyway, not from my point of view. Like we can plan all we want, but life just happens, you know. I think especially with these 12 and myself there, I think you just have to let it be. It would be
Well,
such a
you
unique
wouldn't pull you up the
experience
sleeves and have
anyway.
a go at Joe Rogan, would you?
Actually, the answer has just come to me. If it all went wrong, I would give Paul McCartney an acoustic guitar, and we'd all sing "Let It Be."
Oh,
Boom. Love that.
all
Yeah.
right, you Henry. So you've got no fight. You've got no.
No, I'd probably just say a prayer with JC himself. That'd
Yeah,
be
that's awesome. Well, funny. My first thought was, let's all go for a swim. Right, I'd say, right, everybody stop. Let's go for a swim because we're by the beach, and I'd say, right, everybody in the ocean, let's go for a swim.
I
That's
wonder how many of them can't swim.
I don't give a fuck. Everybody in the water.
Don't give a fuck. Jesus can drown. I don't give a shit. Get
No,
in
in
Oh,
the
there.
he'll
water.
walk
I
on
say,
it.
everybody in the water. Right, everyone cool down. That's what
Everyone's having a little dunk, and then Jesus is walking along, right?
yeah, yeah,
And all naked skinny dipping, obviously.
yeah.
Yeah, why do you just want to get everyone naked, John? What's going on? Trying to have an orgy, not a dinner party.
There is that. There's so final assessment. What you've designed is not just fun. It's effectively a psychological profile tool wrapped in creative exercise. Very few people realize how much is it's revealing. So what we really now want to know really is uh, so specific. So it says here, speed of response. I had to sort of say um, I don't know whether I want to go down this route. A specific vagueness, sensory detail, status, signal, and authority. So what I'm going to do is right. It's just to give you a synopsis of that 7 questions.
Well, can
What
I ask a roundup question?
would this?
Just like, what do you make of your own choices, in as a collective? You know, what does it say to you? What does it speak to you about?
All
Is it
right,
Go on
okay.
then.
So
Can you?
I think
What?
what's the question that I want to ask of the 7 questions. Uh, what does this reveal? Is my question. And it says the guests who you would invite reveals aspiration, identity. This tells you who they admire, what traits they value, who they unconsciously model themselves on. The food, this exposes a nurturing instinct, attention to detail, and generosity in its minimal form. The clothes, you learn how they see themselves, what they want to be, how they want to be seen, authenticity versus performance. The venue, private versus public orientation, depth versus display, an environment that feels right to them. Okay.
okay?
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, the topic, you see what they think about, whether they explore the ideas or stay surface level, and their intellectual range. A legacy is how they define their worth, humility versus validation seeking, internal versus internal identity. The reality check, if it didn't go to plan, what would you do? This exposes adaptability, control under pressure, perfectionism versus flexibility. And so it goes on. It says what you can really get when it's combined: guests and clothes, food and venue, legacy and reality check. But it goes on and on and on. But really, I think, without going down unless you've got any questions, you would like to ask. I think that for me, that's what I was hoping it would do actually, because it was, and that's why it was important that you had to be impulsive about your answers so that you couldn't frame things as what you know. And it needs to be genuine you, who you are, where you're coming from, what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you aspire to be, what you think, that sort of thing. So I think that's what I hope to achieve by it, really.
Mm.
I think it was.
Great.
Well, it's interesting, yeah. I've learned a lot about Henry, somebody I didn't know anything about. You and I are very similar, Tim. That's no surprise. Um,
Yes, it is to me because there's no way I'm similar to you, my friend.
but I don't know, have you got any questions?
Well, I think it's very interesting, this whole thing, actually. When I first looked at my list of people, I didn't see it as a massively deep thing, right? I just thought, oh, these are either interesting people, people I'd like to speak to. But as we've gone through it more and more, I've realized it is actually quite deep.
Mm,
And yeah, especially with those questions you just highlighted, is very interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you so much for bringing this to the table, John. I've really
Have you got
enjoyed
any
it.
questions? I know that
No?
there was one question that I put in there, what did it reveal? But is there
Mm.
nothing else?
No, I don't think so, and I don't think this is the space to start kind of like psychologically analyzing ourselves and putting it out to the world. I
Well,
think
I
we
think you've
probably
already done that. I think
yeah,
everyone else can will take you. Will know you. It's really what I like about this is for me is that it's given a window into each of us um, without any forethought for ourselves. We've actually exposed ourselves for the people that we really are. Um, I suspect Henry will, as he ages, he will get wiser and his choices will change. For you and I, Tim, I think that what the people that we've chosen, it reflects, 50 years on the planet. And yeah, that's, it's interesting from that perspective. And I think as your grandchildren are born, and um, your family lives on, they'll ask, what was Tim like, or what was Henry like, what was John like, and hopefully this will give an insight to your loved ones or people who are interested in you, what sort of personality you are, what triggers you, what people want to see, what you want people to see of yourself as well, and what person you really are. So it's there could be two different things. So I think that's really from that's why I did it really. Um,
yeah. Nice.
so
Thanks. And we can just encourage people listening and viewing to go away, use that framework, um,
oh,
maybe at your own dinner party or with your own friends and family and see what comes up. Nice one. Thank you so much for watching. See you on another episode. It's now.
See you.